History rarely disappears completely. Sometimes, it simply waits in the shadows. For Florida, 1936. An old man sits beneath the blazing sun, rocking gently in a striped beach chair. Reporters laugh around him. Cameras roll. Dr. John F. Condon, Jaffe to the newspapers, stumbles through bizarre jokes and mangled words like a harmless eccentric. A clown, a curiosity, a man too foolish to fear. But then, something changes. He thinks the cameras have stopped rolling, and suddenly, the performance disappears. No smile, no slurred rambling, no nervous twitching. His face hardens. His voice becomes calm, measured, cold. The transformation is instant, like a mask falling away. And for one brief moment, the strange old man at the center of America's most infamous kidnapping no longer looks foolish at all. He looks dangerous. On March 1st, 1932, the nation's hero became the father of a missing child. The world already knew the name Charles Lindbergh. The young aviator had crossed the Atlantic alone. He was courage, American pride, proof that impossible things could still be conquered. But inside a quiet nursery in Hopewell, New Jersey, none of that mattered, because his 20-month-old son was gone, stolen directly from his crib. A crude wooden ladder rested beneath the nursery window. Mud stained the floorboards, and outside, the darkness swallowed every trace. America froze. Newspapers exploded with headlines. Radio broadcasters interrupted regular programming. Crowds gathered around bulletin boards searching for updates about the child they called the Eaglet. In the middle of the Great Depression, the kidnapping became something larger than a crime. It became a national obsession. But from the very beginning, something about the investigation felt wrong. Police departments had little experience with kidnappings of this scale. The FBI barely had authority to intervene. Procedures were chaotic. Evidence was mishandled. Rumors spread faster than facts. And somehow, Charles Lindbergh himself began taking control. Not as a grieving father, but almost as an investigator. He directed searches, influenced decisions, dismissed certain theories. Even seasoned detectives found themselves pushed aside by America's golden hero, and few dared question him. Then came the letter, a strange message sent to a Bronx newspaper. The writer offered help. The signature belonged to a 66-year-old retired schoolteacher named Dr. John F. Condon. Jaffe. An unlikely figure suddenly stepping into the center of the most important criminal case in America. Why him? No one really knew. But Lindbergh agreed to meet him. And soon, the old man was walking alone into cemeteries at night. Woodlawn Cemetery, St. Raymond's Cemetery, cold wind moving through rows of graves, dark figures waiting between tombstones. There, beneath the cover of darkness, Condon claimed he met a shadowy man known only as Cemetery John, the alleged kidnapper. Their conversation sounded almost unreal. Whispers in the dark, secret codes, promises of ransom money. America listened breathlessly as newspapers transformed the meetings into nightly theater. But behind the headlines, police oversight was disappearing. Condon negotiated privately, handled communications himself, and eventually, he carried $50,000 in gold certificates directly into the night. No police intervention, no controlled surveillance, no backup, just an old man, and a suitcase full of money. The kidnapper promised the child was alive, safe aboard a boat called the Nellie. Hope exploded across the country. For a moment, people believed the nightmare might end, but the boat never came. The note was a lie, and the darkness only deepened. Then came another death. Violet Sharp, a young maid employed by the powerful Morrow family. Investigators pressured her relentlessly. Interrogations grew aggressive. Rumors spread through the press. Her name became tangled in suspicion. And then, she swallowed cyanide. The suicide shocked the nation. Was she frightened, guilty, or simply crushed beneath the weight of public hysteria? No one could say for certain. But now the investigation carried another corpse, another shadow, another unanswered question. And then, on May 12th, 1932, the search ended. 4 miles from the Lindbergh estate, workers discovered a shallow grave hidden in the woods. The child's body had been there for weeks. The nation mourned. Church bells rang, newspapers printed black borders around their headlines, and somewhere behind the grief, the case began quietly changing shape. No longer a rescue. Now, a hunt. For 30 months, nothing. The trail went cold. The public grew restless. Theories multiplied. Some believed organized gangs were involved. Others suspected insiders. Some even whispered about a cover-up. Then suddenly, a breakthrough. A $10 gold certificate from the ransom payment surfaced at a gas station. The bill led investigators to a German immigrant carpenter living in the Bronx, Bruno Richard Hauptmann. Police searched his home. They discovered ransom money hidden inside. And just like that, the nation believed the monster had been found. But the deeper investigators looked, the stranger the story became. The prosecution built its case around wood. One section of the homemade ladder, known as rail number 16, was allegedly traced directly to wood missing from Hauptmann's attic. Experts called it a perfect match, a forensic masterpiece. The evidence seemed devastating, but Hauptmann never confessed. Not once. Even as reporters painted him as a foreign predator, he insisted he was innocent. And lingering over everything was the strange behavior of Dr. Condon. At first, Condon described Cemetery John as Scandinavian, not German, not resembling Hauptmann at all. Only later, after intense police pressure, did his story begin changing. Eventually, he identified Hauptmann as the man from the cemetery. But critics noticed contradictions everywhere. Details shifted, memories evolved. And still, the trial marched forward. The courtroom became a circus. Crowds packed the streets. Vendors sold souvenirs. Journalists fought for seats. It was called the trial of the century. And perhaps from the beginning, the verdict already felt decided. Because America did not want uncertainty. America wanted closure. On April 3rd, 1936, Bruno Richard Hauptmann walked toward the electric chair. Rain hammered against prison walls. Witnesses waited silently. And within minutes, the man accused of murdering the Lindbergh baby was dead. Outside, many celebrated. Justice had been served. The nightmare was over. At least, that's what the country wanted to believe. But some questions refused to die. $35,000 of the ransom money was never recovered. Possible accomplices were barely investigated. Names surfaced, then vanished from official focus. And one woman spent the rest of her life fighting against the tide. Anna Hauptmann, Bruno's widow. For 60 years, she battled courts, journalists, and public opinion trying to clear her husband's name. She died still insisting he had been framed, still insisting the truth had never fully surfaced. And now, nearly a century later, the case is opening once again. In June of 2025, researchers filed a lawsuit demanding modern DNA testing on the original ransom envelopes. Technology unavailable in the 1930s may finally answer questions buried for generations. Was Hauptmann's DNA ever truly on the evidence? Were others involved? Could entirely different fingerprints emerge from history's shadows? Some theorists have even raised an unthinkable possibility that traces connected to Charles Lindbergh himself may still remain hidden inside the evidence. The crime of the century may not be finished after all. Perhaps that is the most unsettling part of this story. Not the ladder, not the ransom money, not even the execution, but the possibility that truth itself became secondary, because nations protect their heroes. And sometimes, when grief collides with fame, facts become fragile things. Beneath the official story still linger the incoherent tales of Jaffe, the abandoned leads, the forgotten contradictions, and the disturbing possibility that the investigation was shaped as much by reputation as evidence. In the shadows of the Bronx cemeteries and the silent woods of Hopewell, the questions remain. Was Bruno Hauptmann truly alone? Was he guilty at all? Or was the truth sacrificed so America could preserve the image of its golden son? And nearly 100 years later, the silence still feels heavy. The mask still feels unfinished. And somewhere inside the darkness of this story, history may still be hiding what really happened to the Lindbergh baby. If you enjoy forgotten history, lost disasters, and the darker chapters of the past, be sure to subscribe and follow the journey. And if there's a forgotten event you think deserves to be remembered, leave it in the comments below. I'm Caleb Voss, and this has been Tales of the Forgotten Past.